want to start out tonight really quick with just two thank yous, and I'll do a few later on, but I wanted to start with two thank yous. First of all, to Cheryl Wilk and the kitchen staff. How about the fantastic meal we had tonight? We have 4 banquets every year between the fall, the winter, and the spring, and every time it's delicious, so they do a great job. Also, the sports boosters. We don't give, go ahead, round of applause for boosters, please. Our booster officers are behind the scenes. They do a lot of stuff that is strictly voluntary, and it's very much behind the scenes. A lot of you may not even know who our booster officers are, but they work very hard at the banquets, but at concessions, at monthly meetings, and many other things. You know, just getting support for our kids, and they're very supportive of all of our sports, and once again, thank you to them. Another announcement that I wanted to make, I want to make sure I get this right. Tonight, I want to say congratulations to Brittany Bloom. She just found out that she's Missouri's homecoming queen. Brittany Bloom. In July, Brittany is going to go to Disneyland in California and compete for the title of America's Homecoming Queen. So congratulations, Brittany. Ellie Kornak, are you close? Come on up, Ellie. Ellie is going to talk to you guys really quick about a student-run fundraiser that they're going to do on April 28th, I believe is the date. She's going to keep it very brief, but she's got some very important information she wants to share with you.
Okay. On April 28th, the first annual 5K ran by St. Genevieve High School is attempting to raise awareness throughout the St. Genevieve community by supporting the efforts of CHADS Coalition. CHADS Coalition is an organization whose mission is to advance the knowledge and prevention of adolescents' depression and suicide through awareness, education, and research. If you wish to support the cause, students are given pledge sheets, which is a form basically asking for donations to raise enough money for the entry fee of the race. However, everyone is welcome to run as long as you pay the $25 entry fee the morning of the race. Registration begins at 9:00 a.m. on the 28th, and the race starts at 9:30 a.m. Thank you for all your support, and remember to tell all your friends and family. We want to make this event one to remember.
Those proceeds will go to CHADS Coalition. And basically, just to give you a little background about that, as you guys have been aware throughout this school year, we've had a fantastic group of students who have been to a lot of our sporting events and supported their fellow classmates with Spirit. It's basically a kind of a spirit club that we have, and they have been going to games and doing this and doing that and done a fantastic job, but they wanted to go beyond that. They wanted to do something where they the community. They wanted to take it a step further and actually do something that was even more productive than what they were already doing, and this was the idea they came up with. This is being student run. It's a fantastic idea, and if you are a runner at all, I would suggest you get involved, because again, it's for a very good cause. So thank you, Ellie. Now with the introduction of, we had to switch up the lineup a little bit tonight. We have some girls basketball players who are going to leave here right after they are finished and go over and compete in a choir competition. So we kind of had to put them first, and with them school, you know, it was something that we were gladly to do. So we're actually going to first, but before we you are aware of this already because you have kids in multiple sports, but the winter season is far the longest season that we have, from practice until we're done with our last wrestling match and our last basketball games. It is by far longer than the fall season and the spring season. But when it was over this year, I was amazed at how fast this winter season went. I mean, it just flew by, and I think that has to do with a lot of different things. And I started kind of thinking about, well, why did this season fly by so fast? And I started thinking, is it maybe because of the state champion wrestler we had this year that was an exciting deal? was it maybe the basketball boys and girls senior nights this year that sent chills up my spine when they did the players calling them off the court and giving them a round of applause and just, I mean, it was an amazing 2 nights to have those seniors. You know, was it those? Was it more? Was it all together? I don't know. But I thought that in the end, when I looked back and reflected, that this was a fantastic winter season. Not perfect by any means, and they never are and they never will be, but I think it was a fantastic winter season. It was a lot of fun, and it absolutely flew by for me. So we'll go ahead and get started on the sports, and I'll let the coaches kind of take over from here. We'll start with girls basketball. Girls basketball's head coach is Mark Vogt, to my left here, and his assistant is Josh Banks. Both of them are going to talk tonight, and we're going to start with Josh Banks talking about the JV basketball team, girls basketball team, and when he's finished, Coach Vogt can come on up and talk about the varsity.
All right, just hold your applause till we get all the girls up and get the team. Jessica Boyer, Lacey Burgett, Maggie Flee, Monica Inman, Kayla Kreitler, Erin Martin, Katie Palmer, Paige Porter, Caitlin Sikowski, Adrian Weeberry, Reagan Zerwig. Okay, this year, this was without a doubt the best season that I've ever had in my 5 years as a JV coach. These girls went 20-2 overall, and they only lost the 2 games, one at the beginning of the year and one at the very end, and the one that they did lose was in a tournament play. They were very successful on the court and gelled very well together. I have to contribute that a lot to the leadership that the team had in their sophomores, Erin Martin and Paige Porter. They really helped the girls out a lot on and off the court. A couple of statistics, and I never do any kind of statistics with JV, but I felt it warranted it with the season that they had. They outscored their opponents by an average of 11.5 points a game, so they really dominated a lot on the court. They won the St. Vincent's tournament, so they won the championship this year, which is the first time that I've been able to get the girls to do that. They got second place at the Jefferson R2 tournament as well. So they met a lot of success in their tournament play. One of my crowning achievements that I like to brag is we beat Farmington this year, and the last 4 years they averaged about 30 points or more when they beat us, and we beat them by 19, so I was very happy about that. Our 2 leaders, Paige Porter, she averaged about 11.5 points a game throughout the season. And after Erin came back from her concussion that she had at the first game of the season, she started averaging 10.5 points a game. So a very good season for these girls. I'm proud of them, and it's by far the best season that I've had, and I look forward to seeing what they'll do as they get a little bit older. Your JV team.
First of all, I'd like to start off by thanking our administration, Mr. Haney, Mr. Mercer, and Coach Nix, along with Mr. Swice. Wonderful atmosphere this year. It was a special night, and I also want to thank the boys for dressing up as senior citizen little old ladies. You guys were great. The other coaches were even complimenting you. But it was really a neat atmosphere. I'd also like to thank Scott Barley of Barley Automotive for sponsoring the halftime shootouts, where kids could win money at halftime, and one kid from Festus actually made a half-court shot that last night and won $500. So thanks to Scott Barley at Barley Automotive. Also thanks to Jeff, one for their assistance in scheduling practice and gym times. That's always a hassle, and we really work together well. And Coach Coleman looks out for me, and I try to look out for him, and we make things work. Thanks to our middle school coaches, Coach Walk and Coach Adams. They're doing an outstanding job at the middle school. I'd also like to thank Brian Boyer and Ann Reynolds for their involvement in coaching our elementary kids and getting them started in basketball. Thanks for volunteering to do a job that's sorely needed in our area, and we appreciate it. Thanks to Olivia Schneer. She's the best manager we ever had on our basketball team. Good job, Olivia. You are a tremendous help. Thanks, Olivia. Thanks to Coach Banks for his assistance, and congratulations again to our JV on an outstanding season. Then finally, thanks to all the parents for all that you do for our girls. Without your help, we could not be successful. Special thanks from the girls and coaches to all the parents who worked so hard last spring to raise money for our trip to Aspen, Colorado for the Aspen Shootout, and everyone in the community who helped us raise money. And special thanks to the Smelsleys, the Keens, the Inmans, and the middle school coaches who drove us. It was truly an awesome experience, and I'm sure it's one that the girls will never forget. Brief recap of our season. We finished the season with a 15-13 record for our 7th consecutive winning season, and that was something that was very important to the girls. We were not assured of a winning season until the last week of the season, and the girls took tremendous pride in accomplishing that goal. And as I reminded the girls several times throughout the season, we have improved our schedule each year that I've been head coach, and we no longer have teams on our schedule that we can pretty much, count on beating them by 20, 25 points. We've got rid of most of those teams, so every game on our schedule now is a battle. So, a 15-13 record was a great accomplishment for this group of girls. We also endured many heartbreaking games over the season. We had 5 losses of 3 points or less, and we had several other games that we had the lead and couldn't hold on to it and end up losing. We had second place finishes in the Valley Tournament and the Park Hills Christmas Tournament. Our team, we kind of bounced back and forth most of the season. We'd win a couple and lose a couple. But the girls never really lost their desire to keep working, and definitely by the end of the season, we were playing much better basketball. I'm sure the girls would say that the highlight of their season also was beating Farmington for the first time in 20 years. Except for the last game of the season and the semifinals of the district, where we ran into a very good Dexter team, we were competitive in all the rest of our games. Our largest margin of losing was 11 points all season, besides the Dexter game, and they pretty well handed it to us. But sometimes we just didn't shoot the ball very well, or we might have had too many turnovers. But the girls remained resilient throughout the season. They're a very competitive group of girls, and I never had to doubt their effort. It seemed like every game was a battle from beginning to end for us, and I'm extremely proud of how hard the girls played every night. Aside from being good student athletes, every one of these girls are great kids. I know it seems like I say this every year, but this group of girls is one of the best I've had the privilege to work with. We spent so much time together the past 3 or 4 years. I know the seniors, it seems like you guys have been around forever. And we've taken so many trips together that I couldn't help but get close to the girls. Unlike some of the other girls that I have on my team, these girls are more than willing to talk and share what's going on in their life. And I think that made us a little closer, because we was always in tune with what was going on with them. And I'm sure I could turn the microphone over to several of them right now, and they could tell stories for the next hour or so, mostly about boys, teachers, and their digestive systems. Some of my fondest memories, though, of these girls are the 15, 20 minutes before practice. When they're putting their shoes on, we're taping ankles, they're stretching, and we'll just start talking, and hard to tell where the conversation will go, and it always ends up with a good laugh for everybody. Even on days after a tough loss, we'd come in the gym and things would be a little gloomy, and at some point halfway through practice, somebody'd crack a joke or something would happen, and all the heartache from the night before would go away, and we were back to going to work. As I say, the girls are very competitive. They hate losing, but they were great at bouncing back, and they're great at picking each other up throughout the season. And girls, I hope you remember that's a quality you need to carry with you in life. No matter how many times you get knocked down, just get back up and go right back to work and take on the next challenge, and you've done that throughout your careers. Now I'd like to introduce the team, the varsity team, and have you all come up, please. Come on, varsity. Sophomores, Olivia. First off, I'll introduce our manager extraordinaire, Olivia Schneer. Thanks, Olivia, for all the work you've done. And our sophomores. Everybody's here. First, Erin Martin. Erin did spend most of her time on JV. She's improved tremendously since her freshman year, and we look forward to seeing her at the varsity level. Paige Porter also spent most of her time at JV, and again, she'll be a major player for the team in the next few years. Our third sophomore is Monica Inman. Monica split her time between varsity and JV all season long, and with losing 4 seniors, Monica can expect to move into a guard position next year on the varsity and teaming up with Morgan Greither to form a pretty good guard combination at the varsity level. Those are sophomores. Now our juniors, Morgan Greither. Halfway through the season, Morgan moved into the starting point guard position for us, and it made a big difference on our team. It really took the pressure off the other girls that didn't have to handle the ball so much and weren't crazy about handling the ball that much. And everybody seemed to relax after that point a little bit on offense, and I thought we got better after that. The experience Morgan gained this year is only going to make her better, and she has promised me she'll work on her three-point shooting and be ready to be the complete point guard next year. Next is Megan Herman. Megan also split time between varsity and JV this year. Megan's an extremely hard worker, and I know that she's going to do everything she can to improve and earn some playing time next year and be a good senior leader for our team. And third junior is Paige Smelsley. Paige was a starter to begin the season, and she started out really strong with several games of 15, 16 points and 8 to 10 rebounds. She kind of hit a slump in the middle of the season, and when Morgan moved into the starting position, Paige became our sixth man, or the first player off the bench. And during Paige's slump, you know, she's very competitive and took it personal when she didn't play well. But she hung in there and kept working, and by the end of the season, she kind of snapped out of it and hit some big shots for us late in the season. So I was real happy for Paige to hang in there. And Paige, just remember, everybody goes through slumps, and you just got to keep working through it, and you did a good job of that this year. Now for our seniors. First is Hannah Klein. Hannah is such a gifted natural athlete, and she really blossomed into a good basketball player her senior year. I can remember lecturing Hannah her sophomore year on what a great athlete she was and what a good basketball player she could be if she would put her mind to it and work harder. But I really don't think Hannah took basketball seriously until about her junior year. And then she almost quit her junior year, and she talked her into coming back out. She stuck with it, and she began to see some improvement, and I think she really started to enjoy it. She has all the tools that make a good basketball player. She has the height, she's quick, she can run and jump, and she had a stretch of games during the conference season where she was outstanding, and that allowed her to earn all-conference first team. The other coaches recognized she had a really good stretch of games there. During the season, she averaged 7 points and 9 rebounds. She led our team in rebounding and field goal percentage. She is also our best defensive player, and she regularly drew the toughest assignment of guarding the other team's best player. When I think of Hannah, I'll always have this picture of a group of girls standing around battling for a rebound, this long arm come up out of nowhere, about 2 feet higher than everybody else, and grabbing it. She's a tremendous jumper, Um, One thing I've learned from coaching girls basketball is I believe girls have a more realistic view of sports than boys. And by that I mean Hannah is a perfect example. She's turned down a scholarship to play volleyball at Mineral Area because she has to attend a four-year school to pursue a law degree. And she plans on doing that and attending University of Missouri next year to begin her pre-law studies. So congratulations on Hannah. I think it's probably a good decision. You'll make a lot more money being a lawyer than you will a volleyball player. Next is Ellie Kornak. Ellie was a varsity starter as a sophomore, and then she missed her junior year with an ACL surgery. And I know missing her junior year was really tough on Ellie. But she was determined to work hard and come back and be ready for volleyball and basketball in her senior year, and she did work incredibly hard. She was in that weight room all summer long, and I know she really put in a lot of time getting that knee stronger. She finished the season averaging 8 points a game. She was our third leading rebounder from the guard position. And Ellie is an awfully tough kid, and she's one of our captains because of her work ethic. She never complained or asked to sit out any time in practice, even when it was obvious to everyone that her knee was hurting and it was probably swollen up. Every time I'd ask her if her knee was all right, how she felt, she would just say, "I'm all right," and get back out on the floor. There was only one time late in the season when she was noticeably limping, and I practically had to make her sit out of practice and go off on the side and shoot free throws. But Ellie got better as the season went along, and down the stretch, second half of the season, she really played determined. She was not afraid to take the ball inside against much bigger players and initiating contact to get to the free throw line. Mostly, I think Ellie was a team leader because of her attitude, her work ethic, and her determination. Ellie is also one of our top students, and she hopes to attend St. Louis University to pursue a career in nursing. Our next senior is Jasmine Keene. When Jazz joined the team as a freshman, she was this long, skinny kid who reminded me of a newborn deer walking on wobbly legs on ice. She was barely strong enough to run up and down the floor without falling down. To see how far she's progressed to her senior year is a credit to Jazz and her determination to get better. She had an outstanding senior year. She was second on the team in scoring and rebounding, averaging 8 points, 9 rebounds. She had games where she was totally dominating with 16, 17 rebounds in a game. Most people don't realize about Jazz. If you watched her play, sometimes she'd miss a pass or not get a rebound or go through her fingers. But Jazz has had 5 surgeries on her hands to remove cysts off her wrists. And her hands are one hand is definitely weaker than the other. And, I know a lot of times radio people would, say something like, "Oh, she should have caught that pass," or something, and they didn't realize that, she'd had all these surgeries on her hand. Jazz worked really hard to become the player she was her senior year. It didn't always come easy for her. Jazz is also a good student with career goals, and she likes working with kids and intends to become an elementary special ed teacher. It's Jasmine Key. Our last senior is Abby Meyer. Abby was all-conference honorable mention and all-district first-team selection and a team captain. Abby led our team in scoring with 10.5 points a game. She made 59 three-pointers on the year. Abby had the ability to get hot shooting and carry a team in a game, and she did that several times for us. And although Abby's stats don't show it, the thing I'm most proud of is Abby was a much better defensive player her senior year. I always picked on Abby about her defense, tell her she couldn't guard anybody. But she became a good defensive player through sheer determination her senior year, and she led our team in steals our senior year. Abby could be a source of displeasure for me at times. Her sophomore and junior years because she never could seem to get the plays down. But she came to me early in the senior year and says, "Coach, I know the plays this year." And by gosh, she did too. She didn't mess them up all year. Way to go, Abby. Abby also wears her emotions on her sleeve. You can always tell what kind of mood Abby is in just by taking one look at her. But she did a good job of not bringing it on the floor, and she showed a lot of maturity this year, because that was another gripe of mine with Abby as she get down to game her sophomore, junior year. And she wasn't helping the team or wasn't helping anybody. But she did a lot better job this year of when things wasn't going well for her this year. She kept fighting through it and didn't let it affect the rest of the team. I think Abby also has a love of basketball, maybe more than most St. John girls. So I was real happy for Abby that she had such a successful career playing basketball, and I know it meant a lot to her. Okay, now I have some individual awards to give out to the team. Our first is for the outstanding defensive player, and that goes to Hannah Klein. Like I say, Hannah always guarded the other team's best player, and she usually did a pretty good job of shutting her down. Next, our outstanding offensive player, Abby Meyer. Our most improved player, Jasmine Keene. And the final award is for the outstanding team player. The teammates vote on this, and the winner is Ellie Kornak. Finally, I'd like to say good luck to the seniors, and thanks to all the girls on the team for your dedication, hard work, and commitment. As I step aside as your head coach, thank you so much for caring about our team and each other, for keeping things fun and always interesting, for sharing all the laughs and tears, and for allowing Coach Banks and myself to be a part of your lives, as you will always be a part of our lives. Thank you very much, girls.
Coach mentioned the win over Farmington this year was the first time in, was it 19 years, 20 years? 20 years. As an athletic director, I believe I'm supposed to go to games and kind of be impartial and kind of sit on my hands and not cheer a whole lot. And I really have a hard time doing that, and often I have to remind myself, don't be so loud and draw attention to yourself. You're the athletic director, for Pete's sakes. And that was one of those nights I was actually sitting at the scorer's table as the final buzzer went off, and it was all I could do to keep from jumping up on the scorer's table and put my arms in a giant V, because it was an amazing win. And that says a lot for Farmington's basketball program, because they're kind of the team to beat, and the girls did it. So that was a big win, and it was a fun night, and it just was one of many fun nights that I went to this year and watched the girls basketball team. Next, we're going to go with cheerleading. And our head cheerleading coach is Miss Emily Curtin, to my right here. Emily, raise your hand there. There you go. And her winter assistant is Christina Bunyard. Coach Bunyard, raise your hand there. There you go. Coach Bunyard has agreed to let Coach Curtin do all the talking tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Emily, and come on up.
First off, I want to thank all the support we had. I want to thank administration, other coaches. Thank you guys for letting us be a part of your successes and your victories. That's always kind of a good deal. I'm short, so I'm going to move it. Anyway, I also wanted to thank the Spirit crowd. You guys did an awesome job this year. The atmosphere and the energy that you guys provided was so good for the girls, because they fed off of it, and it just made the season all better. So what I want to tell you guys is keep up the good work for spring and next year. You guys did a good job. It just made a difference at SGHS this year. It's a good year to be a dragon and a hunter, I think. So, that being said, I want to talk a little bit about our girls. They had a lot of opportunities to do different things. Winter is a lot longer season than football, and we get to cheer for boys basketball and girls basketball. Once again, we participated in the running of the halls, which is a new tradition. The girls really enjoyed that. It's a good way to get everybody built up during the day for the games at night and things like that. The girls had an opportunity to perform at MAC a couple of times. One of our girls, Miss Kat Yunt, actually choreographed a really great dance, start to finish, taught the group, and we had the opportunity to perform that. We had the opportunity to cheer for all the home games, boys and girls. We went out to MAC to cheer for some of the conference games, and we also had the opportunity to travel with the team to Sykeston to cheer them on at districts. So we've had a pretty busy season. These girls, a lot of them went right from football into basketball, so some of them have been cheering since August, and they've kept a smile on their face the whole time, and I really appreciate that because I've been there with you since the beginning. So thank you, girls, for sticking with it. We had a great season. I think we made a lot of improvements as a team. We built in stunting and strength and cheer. We've got some girls that are really loud, which is great. We've got a lot of talent on our team. What impresses me the most about this group of girls is they're all really good students. We have multi-sport athletes, we have softball players, we have runners, we have girls in choir, we have girls that are in band. They're just so talented, and it impresses me that within that 12 girls, there's so many different things that they can do. They're just beyond talented. I look forward to whatever they're gonna do in the future. They're a great group. So, I will call you girls up here, and Coach Bunyard will give you your awards. And I did want to thank Coach Bunyard. It's really good when you have another coach that you enjoy working with, and we spend a lot of time together, and we've had a good time, and I've really enjoyed working with you, so thank you. All right, girls. Ashley Barowiak. Jodessa Bowman. Jessie Senatempo. I got that right, didn't I, Jess? Haley Dukeman. Anastasia Gegg. Emma Hoover. Paige Johnson. Nicole Rozier. Stevie Shelton. Lydia Olsaker. Ashlyn Wilson, and Kat Yunt. Now within cheerleading, we have two special awards that we give out. The first award is for Miss Spirit. I think this award goes to the girl that she's been at everything. She's always got a good attitude. We've had ups and downs, but this girl's always kept her head held high. I think she's came to every single thing I've asked her to do. She actually, I think, because I told her she's going to do it, is going to try out for MAC cheerleading this spring, so we wish her good luck in that. Our Miss Spirit this year is Paige Johnson. The second award we give out is for Miss Cheerleader, and this girl exemplifies cheerleading. She lives and breathes it. She has improved so much since her freshman year. She's came such a long way. I really see her doing great things in the future with her talent that she has. She can break down a dance, teach it to a group of people, keep a smile on her face the whole time, and she's going to do great things in this world. So our Miss Cheerleader is Kat Yunt. All right, thank you girls for a great season.
Okay, thank you, Coach. Moving on to our Emeralds. Last year we had two Emeralds coaches who co-sponsored it, and this year one of those two coaches did on her own. She flew solo this year, and that was a pretty big job for her, but she did a great job. Our Emeralds coach is Chanel Lewis to my right here, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Coach Lewis and let her do her thing.
This has been another successful Emerald seasons. First off, I want to start off with a couple thank yous. I want to thank the girls for their hard work and their dedication throughout the season. Like Coach Curtin said, all of my girls, I have the same squad for both seasons, so the girls that I have, they have been going strong since July, so it's been a long season, but good. Next, I would like to thank the girls' parents for being supportive of dance and of the success of the Emeralds program. I would also like to thank Peggy Boner and Grace Campbell for assisting me in supervision when I needed help. Some highlights of this basketball dance season included performing at all of the games, or 5 girls and 5 boys basketball games, the Valley St. John Pink Out Night. We host our Little Gems Dance Clinic, which we had 75 K through 5th grade girls attend our camp, and they got to perform at the basketball game. They got to perform their Get Your Sparkle On routine. Another highlight was the Emeralds and Minerals boy routine, and anyone who got to watch it would probably agree it was very entertaining. Another highlight was this year the girls got asked to perform a Thriller-themed routine at TG's annual Christmas party in Perryville, which was really neat for the girls, and we've never been asked to do that. I'm going to have Coach Bunyard help me while I call the girls up and introduce them, and then we will hand out awards. Kaylee Arnold. Jordan Bader. Yeah, tell him. Lexi Barley. Brittany Bloom. Emily Boner. Michaela Campbell. Emma DeLapp. Madeline Fleeg. Megan Giesler. Taylor Hudson. Kayla Keene. Caitlin Palmer. Mackenzie Roth. Haley Sitter. And Alyssa Vince. Okay, we have 6 awards that we give out. The first one is Outstanding Freshman, and this year it goes, or this season it goes to Emma DeLapp. Emma has proven herself to be a very talented dancer this year. She has very impressive processing and memorization skills, and she is always ready to help others and always has a smile on her face, so congrats, Emma. Sophomore is Mackenzie Roth. Mackenzie is also a very talented and natural-born dancer. She stepped up this year and choreographed a routine for us to use and did a great job teaching the other girls, so congrats, Mackenzie. Outstanding junior is Kaylee Arnold. Kaylee is a graceful, talented, and natural dancer. She was always there to help others, and she is always there to make someone smile or cheer them up. Congrats, Kaylee. Outstanding senior is Madeline Fleeg. Madeline couldn't be here tonight. Madeline is a talented and graceful in technique. She is a very positive person and a good leader and example for the girls. She will be deeply missed. For most improved goes to Brittany Bloom. Brittany has greatly improved as a dancer over this past year. She has demonstrated hard work, practice, and determination from start to finish, and she will also be deeply missed. So congrats, Brittany. Most valuable dancer is Taylor Hudson. Taylor's a very talented dancer. She is creative and innovative when creating and helping with choreography. Her natural ability shines through while she is performing, and her passion for dance and emeralds is a definite. And our last award is Miss Congeniality, and it goes to Jordan Bader. Jordan is a positive beam of light on this squad. She is always smiling and cheering others up. She is compassionate and kind-hearted and truly deserves this award, so congrats, Jordan. Let's have one last applaud for these girls because I can say they truly love dancing for all of you. Should they do that now? Okay. Thank you, girls, so much. We'll talk after. Okay, so you will open it in front of you.
And we also want to say congrats to our newly engaged coach.
Okay, thank you, Coach, and thank you, girls. If any of you were there when you watched or when the Minerals performed this year, girls, your dancing is really good, but your coaching must not be too good because the boys were pretty bad. So, but very hilarious. No, I think you guys had your work cut out with those guys. But and actually, when you watch the Little Gems perform, it was great to kind of see the girls interact with the young elementary girls, and you could really tell that those young ladies looked up to the Emeralds. The Emeralds did a fantastic job working with them, smiling while they did it, and really truly having a good time, and that was just a really nice thing to see. Moving on to wrestling. Wrestling coaches to the far right over there. Coach Bonnell, Jared Bonnell is the head coach. His assistants are Brian Gegg at the far end there and Gary Oxford. And tonight, Coach Bonnell is going to do all the talking, and the two usual quiet guys are going to remain quiet again. So, Coach Bonnell, come on up.
Once again, I want to thank the boosters for the wonderful meal they provided tonight, also with providing us travel and things like that throughout the year. It really helps out when we can get to the opposite side of the state. Can't thank you guys enough. I also want to thank administration and school faculty. We are gone a lot. We travel, like I said, we travel everywhere. And they work really well with us, getting out of school a little early, helping our kids stay on top of their assignments, which most of them do for the most part. You know, just really working with our kids, and that's greatly appreciated. Parents, I can't thank you guys enough. You guys work so well with us. I got better this year as far as practices on weekends. I only had two, I think, weekend practices, or two, I shouldn't say weekend practices, I only had 2 Sunday practices. I'm really trying to filter that out. I understand Sundays are important, it's a day of rest. But when you're as busy as we are, sometimes you have to have those practices, especially when you have those duels early in the week. So I really appreciate you getting your kids to those practices, especially those weekend practices. Again, I'm almost forgetting parents. Also, thank you for a lot of you guys helped out with breakfast meals. You know that's the last thing that usually is on my mind when I'm trying to corral 14 wrestlers. You know, make sure they're all ready. You know, on weight, have their headgear, their singlet, because that does happen. They do forget that stuff. Well, I really appreciate you guys helping them stay on task with meals and everything and getting them fed in the mornings, because that just makes my job a lot easier. lastly, hopefully I haven't left anybody out. I want to thank our wives. They're pretty much widows during wrestling season, especially with, I know Brian and I have two new babies, and that's a lot of extra stress on our wives, and especially I did football this year, so it's even longer for her. So I was pretty sure at the end of the year she was about to go sign some divorce papers because she hadn't seen me for that long a time. Now things are starting to wind down. I think I'm getting back in the good sense. A little bit about our season. We lost 6 seniors last year, which that's a big hit for a program. And breaking down, talking with Coach Ed and Coach Oxford in the off season, we really just didn't really know. We know we had some quality kids coming back, but we didn't really know how our program was. We kind of figured it'd be a rebuilding year, and in a sense it was. We started off a little slow, but we really meshed well at the end, came together, and that says a lot about these boys. We had a pretty outstanding duel record, considering I'm still frustrated with 2 of our duels because they're very winnable duels, and we put ourselves in bad position early. But nonetheless, our duel record was 14 wins and just 6 losses, which is a pretty good job. At the Westminster tournament, we placed 5th out of 12 teams, and that's one of the first tournaments of the year. It's kind of a get you started tournament, kind of see how things are going, what season's going to look like. So, I wasn't super thrilled about 5th place, but I was satisfied because we're a young team. Farmington Duels, I don't know what happened to them, but from that week time, they were just a different team. They were, okay, let's get ready to go. They took 2nd there. Unfortunately, we couldn't prevail like the girls basketball teams and beat Farmington this year, but hopefully, we always have next year. Tiger Classic is another 16-team tournament. We placed 4th there, and that's a really tough tournament. I think we were really progressing well at the end, right before Christmas break, and teams started to come together a little bit. St. Jimmy Duels, it was our first annual St. Jimmy Duel tournament, and it was strictly a tournament with all just Class 2 schools, and we had some tough Class 2 schools. We had a couple teams. We had a team drive all the way from Kansas City just to duel us, and it's an outstanding team. It's a great program. Coach Lowe has done a great job taking over the program, and they were ranked number 1 all year, and I think they finished up 2nd in the state. So it was good to see those guys because we don't get to see them that much. Branson, it's completely on the opposite side of the state. We traveled down there, and that side of the state is unbelievable. Their wrestling has really started to lift off, and it's become a dominant force in Missouri wrestling. And for us to be able to travel down there and see those guys, it was great. We finished 4th out of 16 teams, and that's the best we've done in 3 years there. So I had to say that was probably one of our better tournaments as a team this year. SEMO Conference, we come in 3rd again behind Farmington and Jackson. It's like, I don't know, it's, being from Farmington, it's just a little salt in the wounds. I hate losing to those guys, especially now. And, I have a feeling that next year's going to be our year. I think with as young as teams we had this year, and, they're taking a hit with losing some kids, and Jackson, I think next year's going to be a good year for us, and I think we'll be able to be in that win column against Farmington, I hope. Districts, districts was a really a wild card this year. There were several good teams. Our kids were kind of spread out. We really didn't know. There was about 4 teams in the running there that could have had a district title, and I tell you what, this team pulled together better than I've ever seen a team pull together for a tournament, and they were just picking each other up on the side of the mat. Kids that had a rough second half of the season were just wrestling really well, and that just says a lot about our leaders on our team and the kids getting in the room and working hard. We won our 8th straight district title, and I think it's the 16th district title for St. Genevieve Wrestling Program, which is pretty outstanding. State tournament, 15th. You think of 15th, and it's like, it's kind of hard to hear because we were my first year we were think we finished 8th. Last year we finished 7th, and this year we had a real good shot at bringing home a state trophy. And things just happen. You see state championship teams get up there and fall apart sometimes, or you see kids that just have a bad tournament, and unfortunately that's what happened to us. We finished 15th as a team, which I'm not upset of because the kids wrestled their butts off. It's just one of those things, Out of 56 teams, it's not bad when you hear that, but when the kids know what I expect out of them, and I know what they expect out of themselves. Yeah, I was a little down, but they know it's a learning experience, and things are going to be better next year, and we're going to be up there next year. We'll be a top 4 team next year, mark my words. So that was our season. Now I'm going to get to some individual things, kind of explain a little bit of the JV season. And first off, I want to introduce our managers. Ladies, will you come up? Casey Shelton, Hunter Crace, Hope Daughtry, Mariah Ritter, sorry. These girls have it rough. They hang out with a bunch of stinky, obnoxious boys all year long. And they, there's drama, just like every other girl. And I know I'm going to learn about it. I have a little girl. Coach Geck won't have to learn about it yet. But I see him in the near future. He's going to have a girl, I think. But anyway, these girls put up a lot, and they do a lot. They travel with us everywhere for the most part. Especially our varsity managers, Hunter and Casey, they travel everywhere with us. Sometimes it's like sisters fighting, and I just want to bop their heads together and send them home, but they do a lot. Taking stats over for 14 wrestlers, some of them having 50 matches a year, that's a lot of work. And for a lot of people that know about wrestling, there's a lot to taking stats. It's not just sitting there and playing with the pencil, not doing anything, although they did that some too. And Hope and Mariah were new to it. Mariah not so much. She's been around wrestling, so she kind of had a hang of it, but it was still new to her with taking stats and being around the whole wrestlers. They did a great job, and I really hope we can get them back next year. I know Casey and Hunter are juniors, Hope's a sophomore, and Mariah is a freshman. So hopefully we'll have these girls back next year. I appreciate all their help. And these are our managers. Coach Geck, can you hand them their gifts from the wrestlers? In terms of JV, wrestlers, when I call you, just come on up and I'll mention some things about you. As far as JV goes, it's weird. We didn't have, a JV lineup's considered usually 14 wrestlers, just like a varsity lineup, but we don't have those type of numbers. So, some of these kids, these JV kids, almost all our JV kids had a varsity win. They contributed to a varsity win here or there. That just shows you, how close these guys are, and they really pull together and compete for each other. One of 3 106 pounders, Andrew DeRoos, come on up. Andrew is very successful this year. He had a varsity win at our St. John duels. His overall record was 13-1, and I tell you what, if he had that one loss to wrestle again, I think he wants it back because he was kicking the kid's butt and just got in trouble and caught. Actually, he had 3 varsity wins. He was a Tiger Classic JV champ and a JV SEMO Conference champ. We're lucky to have him. He just was in the wrong spot for us. We had 2 other stud 106 pounders that I think he learned a lot from this year. And in a lot of other programs, Andrew would have been right there as a starting 106. He just happened to get in a solid part of our lineup. I know he'll be successful as he continues to wrestle. Hopefully he'll grow a little bit, but I think he's working on that. Dylan Byington. Dylan Byington is relatively new to wrestling. What is this, your first or second year, Dylan? First year wrestling, that's what I thought. He had an 8-4 record, and he had a varsity win. Dylan is very, very, very green, and he's worked a lot with several of the varsity wrestlers in the room, and he does a lot of good things. that most first-year kids don't do, but there's a lot of silly things he does that a lot of first-year kids do still. So we're going to hope and wrestle over the summer and take care of those things and get him on track for next year. I see bright things from him. He had, like I said, he had an 8-4 varsity, 8-4 record. He had a varsity win. He was a JV Tiger Classic champ, and he took 4th place at the SEMO Conference Tournament. James Nagger, come on down. James was also a first-year wrestler. You know, last year at the end of the season, someone got him interested in coming in. He started rolling around a little bit and enjoyed himself. And he had 10 wins, and that's a pretty big accomplishment for a first-year wrestler. He also contributed to a varsity win, which is huge. I mean, a first-year wrestler contributing to a varsity win is pretty outstanding. He has a work ethic like none other. I think later in the season he kind of hurt his shoulder, which I think kind of set him back, but as long as he's willing to put in the time and effort, he's going to be fine. He'll be right where we want him next year. Sean the Body Wilson. Where's Sean at? This is probably like the St. John wrestling team. It's always, you know, when Sean talks, everybody listens, literally. Sean's pretty unique. He tripled his wins this year, and sometimes it's just like he's wrestling, and I'm like, what is this kid doing? And then he pulls it out somehow. And Sean was really coming on hot at the end. He had 3 wins within the span of what, like 2 days. He was wrestling really tough, and you know, Sean works his butt off, and I'll take any kid that puts the time in and works his butt off, because there's a lot of kids that aren't in this room, that go home every day and play video games and don't do anything. So, you know, I think that's pretty impressive that he stuck out a program such as the wrestling program. Tim Schweiger. Is Tim here? Tim did not make it, but I'll talk about him for a second anyway. Tim was a freshman. Tim had a very rough year. He was winless this year, but he's one of those kids that you saw getting better and better and better as the year went on. And you know, he wrestled up a weight class. A lot of these kids would bump up around weight classes, and he wrestled up a weight class for the majority of the end of the year, and he was just giving up some weight and strength. It's one of those situations that, you know, getting beat on for a year does a lot for you for the next year. You take your lumps. I remember my first year wrestling, and I got pounded by high schoolers, but it made me better, you know, and that's the type of thing that's going to happen with a person like Tim. If he puts in the time, he's going to progressively get better and better. It's just like with anything else. It's like basketball, putting in the time with Coach Coleman and Coach Vogt in the summer. You guys do that, you're going to get better and better and better, and that's why your programs are getting to where they're at now. It's because you're putting in that time. Derek James, also a new wrestler. Very, very successful first year wrestling. He was 13-11. He had 4 varsity wins. He was a JV Tiger Classic runner-up and a JV SEMO Conference champ. He wrestled in several varsity tournaments, like I said, and got varsity wins. He has a lot of potential. You know, I know obviously his passion is football, and that's great. I don't know what he's planning on doing next year. I'm probably gonna put him on the spot, but we'd love to have him back. He's a great kid, and you know, a great addition to the wrestling family. Last JV wrestler is Ryan Kemper. Kemp Daddy, come on down.
What's his nickname?
What nickname? Oh no, we don't say that. It's not. Ryan is very quiet. I tried to get this kid mad all the time, and I think kind of into the year we started getting him a little angry sometimes, which is good, because when he gets a little angry, he's about all you can handle. He was 10-10. He had a varsity win. His varsity win was his first win of the year against, I believe it was the Whitfield heavyweight. He was afraid to wrestle Tirana, so Kemper wrestled him and put it to him. Ryan I think 10 of his losses were to one kid this year. And not 10 of his losses, I'm sorry, 5 of the 10 of his losses were to one kid this year. So, we get over that hump. We're sitting at 15-5, and I can work with that. I can work with 10-10 because he works his butt off, and he's definitely good to have in the room. He gives Daniel someone to wrestle with, and like I said, when he gets a little mean, he's about all you can handle. Other than that, he's like a little kitten. I'm just kidding, Ryan. Highlight of the year for JV guys. I'd have to say the SEMO conference tournament. They only took like 6 kids or 7 kids, and ended up taking 3rd at the JV conference tournament with basically a full Jackson lineup and full Farmington lineup. So they had a pretty successful year. We had a lot of kids. Like I said, they were bumping in and out of our varsity lineup. A lot of them. They did a great job, and I see a lot of promise in these young men. I hope they all continue to work hard in the off season in hopes of earning a varsity spot next year. JV wrestlers. Next wrestler I'm going to introduce, I'm going to do varsity wrestlers. Tyler Jones, 106. Tyler was 26-7. He was first place at the JV Windsor Invite, second place at the JV Classic, first place at JV Conference, third place at the Branson Invite, 2012 District Champ, fourth place in the state. I realize that sounds weird, JV, varsity. And I say unfortunately, but for the things that are unfortunate, you got to be, someone was watching out over Ryan. Ryan was our varsity starter, and I'll introduce Ryan as well right now so I can kind of explain the situation. Ryan was 24-5. He was second place Westminster Invite, second place Cape Tiger Classic, and he was third place at SEMO Conference. A couple weeks right before, I guess it was districts, or 2 or 3 weeks right before districts, Ryan was wrestling and hurt his elbow really bad. Put him out for a while. He started coming back, and he really wasn't 100%. Didn't have his motion real well, was having trouble picking up things, and being a coach, you gotta look at it for your wrestlers and your team. I didn't want to throw Ryan out to the district tournament, in a tournament that I knew he would walk through probably, and take a chance at getting hurt. So we had a challenge match, and Tyler beat him in a close challenge match. I think it was 6-5. And, it was the hardest thing I ever had to do as a head coach. I just call that match because it's 2 great kids. Ryan was ranked 4th in the state at the time. Tyler had beat the 6th and 5th place kid in the state prior to that match. So we had a state championship battle, or, a state placing battle in our room. Ryan, I think Ryan would tell you that I think right now, no matter how the salt in the wounds feels, Tyler did a great job, and I think he's happy for him, and I'm happy for him for going and placing 4th at state. That's an amazing feat as a freshman. But I think Ryan would agree with me that it was the right decision. He ended up having to have surgery, a week after the state tournament, and they had to repair was it a tendon? And just inside of his elbow, they had to remove a tendon down here and repair his tendon in his elbow, and the doctor said that it could have done permanent damage if he would have continued to wrestle. So I thank God that somebody was watching over him, no matter how hard the decision may have been. Once again, 2 outstanding young men. Tyler Jones ended up placing 4th at the state tournament. I'm not taking anything away from him. Outstanding wrestler, and Ryan's going to be an outstanding wrestler for us next year. I see a state championship in his future because he has a work ethic like no other. Travis Jones, come on down. Travis, we were talking in the tunnel right before the state tournament, and we recall last year when Travis got knocked out of the state tournament, and he's like, "That's it. I'm wrestling down a weight next year, and I'm going to win a state championship. And he was serious as a heart attack. And Coach Ox reminds me of that, reminded me of that this year at the state tournament. You know, I recall it, but Coach knows all the facts. You know, he breaks down the state. He's got the state tournament broke down from 3 years from now, so he does a great job. Travis was 43-4. He had a setback at the Westminster Invite. That was his first tournament of the year. Took third place. He won the Cape Tiger Classic. He took third at Branson. Actually lost to the kid who he beat in the state finals. First place at the SEMO Conference Tournament, 2012 District Champ, and he was a 2012 Missouri State Champion. That's pretty impressive for a sophomore. Travis is one of the, you know, talking about his, a little more into the state finals match, he's losing 3-1 with like 30 seconds left, and we're yelling, Travis, you gotta shoot, you gotta shoot. With that, Travis level changes and hits one of the most beautiful shots. He hasn't hit it all year long. I don't know where it came from. Hits one of the most beautiful shots, finishes, it takes in overtime. This kid is absolutely devastated. He's like, oh my God, I majored this kid at Branson, and now I'm going to overtime. 15 seconds in overtime, same thing. A low shot, takes him down, wins it. I probably jumped about 20 feet off my chair and went nuts. I wasn't as poised as Coach here at the Farmington game. I went nuts. You know, Travis the whole time in the tunnel just had a smile on his face, and you know, you realize how much he actually just loves wrestling and puts in the time. You know, he wrestled all summer up at a friend of the family, Mike Ironman. He took him everywhere, and you know, if anything, Travis just got confidence from it. And it's just, you know, like I said with basketball, it's just getting anything with working in the summer. It's just getting confidence. And there's no doubt in my mind Travis was a good wrestler this year, but this year, the difference between this year and last year is now he's a great wrestler. You know, he put that time in. It's pretty amazing. I'm glad to have him for 3 more years. Coach, will you hand him their... Oh, did you hand him? All right, thanks. Way ahead of me. Cole Reynolds. Cole Reynolds wrestled 120 for us. He had a record of 43-6. He had an outstanding year. I mean, I'll just let the paper say it. First place Westminster Invite, first place Cape Tiger Classic, first Branson Invite, second place SEMO Conference loss to a very tough Farmington kid, and it was an awesome match. I mean, just a great match. And a 2000 district champ, and unfortunately this year, but I mean, you say unfortunately, but a lot of kids don't aren't a state qualifier. Some kids, that's what they shoot for. He was a 2002 state qualifier. Now, some background, most of you know Cole placed 4th as a freshman and 2nd as a sophomore. Cole was ranked 2nd going into the state tournament this year, and it's just one of those unfortunate things. Kids have bad tournaments, and you know, Cole's I know it eats at Cole, and it's going to eat at Cole, but what he's going to do with it is going to determine on how he finishes next year. And I think Cole will persevere, and I think Cole will be a state champion. But he had an outstanding year. I mean, first in everything but one tournament, and a record of 43-6. Nothing to hang your head about. Tanner Jones, 126. Yeah, and yes, you are seeing double, and I still call, like, I had to look at their shoes every day, and I had Tanner and Tyler to know who was who for a long time. Just in the wrestling and practice, obviously, I knew who wrestled 106 and 126. But Tanner was 24-10, great record. First place is the JV Windsor Invite. Second place is SEMO JV Conference. Fourth place is 2012 districts, and he was a 2012 state qualifier. Tyler was one of these kids that honestly probably should have been wrestling about 113. But we had a hole in our lineup at 126, and we were pumping food and water into him minutes before the weigh-in. We'd have him check weight, because you can only be under your weight class that you're going to wrestle 2 weight classes. So if he weighed 113 and he was wrestling 126, it was illegal. So he had to weigh 113.1. You know, so we were having him drink bottles of water before he got on the weight. So I think he was a little unsure of himself at first, but he got some good quality wins at 126, and he was still undersized. But the kid never gave up. Even to the last match in the tournament state, he's getting just handed to him, just getting it handed to him, and he locks up a cradle and almost puts this kid away. It's up on him like 14-1, and he doesn't stop. Tanner never gives up, and that's the kind of wrestlers you want. Kids that'll go 3 periods getting just waxed and still try and pull out a win. Tanner's a great asset, and he's a freshman, and he'll be back next year. Woohoo. Kyle Brown. Kyle Brown here. Kyle said he may not be here. Kyle was kind of on the fence this year. We finally poked and prodded, actually, Mom. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I know you guys aren't here, but got him out, and he was having a great year. He was, before he got hurt, he was 12-5. He won JV Windsor Invite, was wrestling real tough in some of the tournaments, and of all things, PE in high school put him out. Dodgeball. So I wasn't happy, but what can you do? The doctor wouldn't release him. He had fractures in his hands, which I know usually you can come right back from that, but what can you do? Hopefully he comes back next year. He's a big asset to our team. He works hard, and he's been wrestling quite a while, so he helps us out any way we can. One of our seniors, Wes LeClaire at 132. Wes is going to be giving a speech after I'm done, so he'll stay up here for a while. He was 24-22. That's a pretty solid record. I know it's not where Wes wanted to be, because I tell you what, when he was on, there was not too many people that could hang with Wes in the room. Even our state champion, or our state medalist Cole. Not too many people could hang with him when he was on. A lot of Wes's confidence, or lack of confidence, came from within his head. He was a great wrestler. He was a good leader in our room, and he'll be missed. Some of his accomplishments was the 4th place SEMO conference tournament, 4th place 2000 districts, or 4th place in the districts, and a 2012 state qualifier. From talking with his parents, I don't even know if Wes knows this, he's planning on attending welding school after high school. Is that correct, Wes? Yeah. Wes will be missed. Like I said, a great kid. And I thought I was getting rid of my last LeClaire until I had his 6th grade brother in intramurals these last 3 weeks. And wow, let me tell you, he's twice as amped up as these two, the other two. Rusty Gett, scratch that, skipped ahead. Tony Orini, the Hawaiian, Flying Hawaiian, right? Is that what they call you? Tony was also one of these wrestlers in and out of the JV and varsity lineup. He wrestled for us several different weights, but finally found a home at 138 at the end of the year. Tony had 10 wins. He was a JV Tiger Classic champ, 3rd place at JV SEMO tournament. Tony showed a lot of promise this year. There was a huge improvement from this year to last year. I think, would you have 2 wins last year and 10 this year? That's a pretty big improvement, especially in and out of a varsity lineup. I see a lot of good things from Tony, and the best thing I see about Tony is he's willing to put in the time and effort, outside the season. He goes and helps out the little kids in intramurals and things like that, and that's what's going to help him out with wrestling next year, getting in that extra time. Tony, you the man. Ethan Vaith. Ethan Vaith was a freshman, is a freshman at 145. He wrestled a little bit at 145, 152 this year for us, but he, like I said, he ended up settling at 145. He was had 21 wins this season. He was 1st place at JV Tiger Classic, 3rd place at 2000 districts. He was a state qualifier. This kid made a huge improvement from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. I don't know what it was. He just got confidence. Every time he wrestled somebody and lost to him, he wanted to turn around and wrestle him 10 minutes later, just to prove that he was going to make improvements on it. And, if I would have wrestled him in just even midway through the year at the district tournament, he would have not qualified for state. At the end of the year, he was just wrestling so smart and just doing really good things. And I see a lot of future for him in wrestling. I mean, he just does a great job, and he works his tail off, and he's not afraid to. These guys, these seniors and juniors gave it to him hard this year, and he gave it right back, and that's what I like. He's a freshman, so we got him for 3 more years, which is awesome. All right, now Rusty, you can come up. Rusty was a 145, 152, 160, just whatever we decided that day. What I love about Rusty is like he just has this temper on him. It's usually controlled, but when he gets mad, you see him get just red in the face, and he goes out there and tries ripping somebody's head off. Rusty had a rough year. He's a sophomore. He was undersized all year. He had 7 wins, had several varsity wins. I've seen a great deal of improvement from the beginning to end of the year. With some work in the offseason, I can see Rusty having a much more successful season than next year. And I know that with the name Geck, he'll be in the wrestling room all summer, right, Mom? Okay. Danny Whittu. Danny didn't get to start wrestling until second semester. He had a rough start. I think he was, I'm not trying to embarrass you, he was 0-8, but he's only a second-year wrestler, and he was coming into a varsity lineup. Once he was able, to participate, he struggled. But after a few weeks, he started to perform a lot better. I would have to say Danny's best tournament was the district tournament. He just was a completely different person. He was wrestling well, wrestling with a little bit of an attitude. And he was only 1 match away from placing. He actually lost to the same kid twice in the tournament. He lost him first match and the match to go to state. It's one of these kids you wish you were able to work with him for 2 or 3 more years. I wish Danny nothing but the best. I'm sure he'll do fine in whatever he decides to do. Probably something with motors, right, Danny? Yeah. Jake Billings. Jake was our or welding. Jake was our 170-pounder. Jake was a first-year wrestler as well. First-year seniors. It's you love the enthusiasm, but it's really hard to get them to understand what you want them to do just being a first-year kid. Jake was a very intense wrestler. As if anybody saw him wrestle would know, or they see him play football wouldn't understand. I would oftentimes see Jake take off. I'd be on another mat, and I'd see Jake take off flying across the mat trying to tackle somebody, as if they were holding a football. Jake was very upbeat through the entire season, even with several losses. Jake always was at mat side rooting on his fellow teammates. Jake's always stayed positive, even when he knew he was up against a good wrestler. I have no doubt that Jake will be successful in whatever he does. I only wish I was able to have him a few more years. Drew Apt, the man. Where's he at? He already leave? Here he comes. Drew is 24-19. This is pretty awesome. He came in last year and dabbled in it a little bit, didn't really know if he liked it, and wasn't able to do it the rest of the year. And he came out this year and very unorthodox, but this kid is like, you grab a hold of him, he grabs a hold of you, you're in for a fight. He looks like a little guy, but he is strong. He took 3rd place at the Westminster Invite, 2nd place at the Branson Invite, 3rd place at districts, and he was a 2012 state qualifier. Funny thing about Drew is you never really knew the Drew you were going to get. Usually if Drew was talking to you about something off the wall random before he wrestled, it was a good sign. And if he was quizzing you on moves that he never talked about, it was going to be a weird match. And that was pretty much how Drew was. At the state tournament, he drew a tough kid. Well, Drew. He had a tough kid right out of the gate. State-ranked kid from Odessa. And it was neck and neck. It was right there with him. And all of a sudden, the kid shoots in. and I see Drew's kneecap on the side of his leg. And I was like, awesome. And Drew's there, of course, screaming, and I'm screaming. And we get him settled in. They put it back in place, and the kid was freaking out that he was wrestling, like he didn't know what happened. But he was right in there, and I had so many coaches after he was out come up to me, like, is your kid out of the tournament? And like with a sigh of relief and then an apology, oh, I'm sorry. And it's like, people were scared to wrestle him because he was just so unorthodox. I mean, he could throw anybody. But that's a story, Drew. He's just unorthodox, and he'll go after it. I think with some work in the off season, as long as he gets an MRI, Drew, get an MRI on your knee, we will hopefully put him in a state medals next year. Luke Himmerla, Lukey Luke. He was our 195-pounder. He had 18 wins. He took 4th place at districts and 2012 state qualifier. He didn't want me to say his losing record because he thinks it's bad. But when you think of how he's progressed, I think he had 1 or 2 wins last year, had 18 this year, and very easily could have been. He was 18 and 31. Very easily could have been 31 and 18. There was a lot of matches he was in and beating kids and just got caught on something silly, and he wasn't making those mistakes at the end of the year, and that's why he went to the state tournament. Luke's a hard worker, very hard worker, gives me everything he's got, along with a lot of these other guys. I know he's going to be successful. I know he's going to see his state medal in his time, as long as he keeps working. Kellen Stiegel, sitting with the basketball players. Good job. Kellen, great kid, super quiet, always does what you ask for the most part. He'll question you, he quizzes, but I think it's just because he's a smart kid and wants to know what's going on. Kellen really worries me. It was really worrying me at the beginning of the year because he just looked like he wasn't having fun at all. And that's not what I'm about. If you're out there, I want you to have fun. There's no point on doing it if you're not going to have any fun. The most fun and Kellen had big improvements this year from last year. And the most fun I saw him is when he finally let loose at the district tournament and got some quality wins and came one match from being a state qualifier. That's the most I've seen Kellen smile. His parents even were into it. They were excited. And that's what I love to see. I love seeing parents get the fever. And, if you think this year was good, next year's going to be even better. Kellen has a tremendous work ethic, as most of the football players and baseball coaches will tell you, and even teachers. He's an outstanding student. He had 14 wins, 2nd place at the Windsor Invite, 2nd place SEMO JV Conference, and like I said, he was one match away from qualifying for the state tournament. That's pretty impressive, and he's only a sophomore. Lastly, Daniel Tirana. Daniel's season record was 38-8, 2nd place at Westminster Invite, 2nd place at Cape Tire Classic, 1st place at the Branson Invite, 2nd place at SEMO Conference, 2012 District Champ, 6th place at state. If you see some of those big boys, Daniel's a big boy, but he's a slender, taller guy. You get to see some of these heavyweights at the state tournament; they're beefy. Daniel's not only a state medalist; he's also an academic state medalist, or state. So he carries a 3.88 GPA, and that's something to be pretty proud of. Daniel works very hard. I can't tell you. I think the kid, if I told him to cut off his leg, he would do it for me. He's just an amazing kid. And he's always at practice. I never have to ask him. He's always doing what he's supposed to be doing. And those are the kind of kids you love coaching. And I got a bunch of kids up here that do that. But he just makes your job so much better. I'm very proud of him, and I'm glad I have him for another year. I wish he was only a sophomore, though. All right, now to the awards, guys. I'm almost finished. We do several awards each year. Several of them are from your stats taken by our stat girls all year. That's how we get those awards. The coaches decide on one, and the team votes on the other three. So it's kind of cool. Most takedowns this year goes to Travis Jones. It's kind of funny because Travis really isn't a takedown machine per se. Him and Cole like to battle for near falls all the time, and it's like if I look at their near falls, it's probably just as many near falls as takedowns. Just to prove that is our heavyweight Daniel, I think, had 67 takedowns, so he was right there on our 113-pounder. Most pins, Travis Jones had 31 pins. That's pretty outstanding. Most wins goes to two people. They had the same amount of wins this year. I think pretty much all year they were neck and neck with wins. I think one of them edged them out a little bit at the end and then came back and they tied it up. Most wins goes to Cole Reynolds and Travis Jones. They had 43 wins total. Most improved. When we were talking, and this is the one voted on the coaches, there's so many things you can put most improved on. But I look at the hard work a kid puts in and, the season that maybe was just a terrible, disappointing season for him the year before, and a pretty successful one for him this year. The coaches voted on Luke Hermela to receive the Most Improved Award. Freshman of the Year, this was a team vote. It was almost unanimous. He works hard, and it's obviously a pretty big feat when a freshman places fourth at the state tournament. So the Freshman of the Year award goes to Tyler Jones. The hardest worker was also a team vote, and it was very close. It came down to within a few votes, and senior Wes Leclerc got the hardest worker award. Most Valuable Wrestler Award. This was also a team vote, and it was fairly close. This year's Most Valuable Wrestler was Travis Jones. He probably already knows. I just added this in today. I found out over the weekend that we had 3 candidates for the KTTA Dream Team. It was like the KTJJ Dream Team, I'm sorry. Travis Jones is going to be on the Dream Team. The other candidates that were represented were Cole Reynolds, Tyler Jones, and Daniel Tirana. However, due to the area wrestling is so competitive this year, several all-state wrestlers did not make the Dream Team. So just this year, Travis will be the only Dream Team member for wrestling for St. Genevieve. It's disappointing. I hate it. I think all-state anything should be on the Dream Team, but that's just how area voting goes. In closing, guys, I just want to leave you with a quote. The difference between a successful person and others is not a lack of strength, not a lack of knowledge, but rather a lack of will. That's Vincent Lombardi. And that's all I have.
It's a nice pink bag there, Coach Keck. Coach Oxford gets the old brown paper bag.
Oh yeah.
And Frisbee.
For my dog.
All right. Okay. We're going to go ahead and move on to our final sport of the evening, and that is boys basketball. The boys basketball coaches are to my far left, and first we have volunteer coach Clayton Geck. Was this your second or third year, Coach? This was Clayton's second year volunteer coaching, and again, I stress that word volunteer because that's a lot of time to put in for nothing. So Clayton Geck is our volunteer coach. To his right is our head coach, Rob Coleman. To his right is our freshman coach, Brian Kraft. And to his right is our JV coach, John Robinson. And they're all going to do a little bit of talking except for Coach Geck. We're going to start with Coach Kraft to talk about freshmen, Coach Robinson to talk about JV, Coach Coleman to end with the varsity, and we'll just go one to the next. So Coach Kraft, come on up.
All right, to go ahead and start off, I'll go ahead and do like everybody else and start with the thank yous. First of all, Booster Club for the outstanding meal. You know, it's always good, for me to have a free meal. Administration, thank you for everything you do. Mr. Nix for getting the bus and everything. And coaches, start off with Coach Coleman. You know, you work hard, do a good job, and the hours you and all these other coaches put in, unbelievable. Coach Robinson, helped me out on the bench, helping me out in a couple games this year, even though in the 2 games I got a kid for an extra quarter, we did go 0-2. And Coach Geck, for all the passion and spirit you show on the bench, and just kind of some advice you need to give officials to now and then, okay? And final thank you to the parents, freshman parents. We start this thing on Halloween, and we have late practices, early practices, a lot different than junior high. And, attendance this year, as always, was outstanding. No problems whatsoever in the classroom, and couldn't have a better group of kids to work with. Good job, okay? Talk about the season a little bit. We went 6-6, but when you look at that, Coach Vogt made a point earlier, we don't play anyone that is a lot smaller than us. We play Farmington, Festus, teams that have a full JV team. You're going to see a little bit when Coach Robson calls them up. We got guys sometimes sharing quarters. Our numbers were up this year. We had, I think, 29 players, 11 freshmen. But, even then, we got guys that got to kind of, play both ways. But the guys played hard. Coming into the season, I knew we had some shooters. But I knew, you'll see a little bit, we're not extremely tall. But the guys worked hard. They got better. And, highlights for the year, I would say, as the season got long, we kept playing better and better basketball. At the beginning of the year, some of our guys, if you put them with the JV, who knows what might happen by the end of the year. You can ask Coach Robinson over there that, we went to the old middle school gym and we had some pretty good games going. And so the guys got better. And that's the key with freshman basketball. Work on your skills, get better, as the season goes along, okay? Highlights for the year, I would say, and I'll take, 2 games that we did lose, but I felt, it was a lot different from the beginning of the year to then. Farmington game. Okay, we played Arcadia Valley at North County's old back high school gym. I'm not a big fan of that gym. We just never seemed to play very well there. We played Arcadia Valley there, and we didn't handle the press very well. We played Farmington here, and we handled the press really well. Practice before, the varsity guys pressed us, and I could tell Coach Coleman was getting a little irritated with some of his varsity guys that day because the freshmen were beating the press, and it wasn't just backups, it was some of their starters. And then kind of at the end of the year when we played Festus. Festus is always good, and a couple shots here or there, we played them toe-to-toe, and it was a very good ball game. So, that we got better, we improved, good attitude all around, and I was very pleased with how the season goes along. We could have very easily, before I call them up here, could have been 8-3. A couple games here or there, a lot different story, but a lot of good things for the future to work on. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call these guys up by alphabetical, and if I forget to call you up, just come on up here anyway, and Coach Geck will take care of the war. Tyler Billings, Brandon Flippo, Tate Meyer, Clayton Mueller, Cade Reynolds, Shaw, Bruce Smelsley, Cody Stacy, Dominic Womack, last of the Harrison Womack. Like I said, to finish up, good job, guys. Good attitude, way to improve throughout the season, and look to see bright things in the future. Good job. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2011-2012 freshman basketball team. My job's done, so I'll go ahead and turn it over to Coach Robinson now.
Made it nice and quick. I'll try to do the same thing. Okay. Wasn't sure how my first year would go coaching at the high school level. I wanted to get my thank yous out of the way. I wanted to say thank you to Coach Geck, Coach Kraft, and Coach Coleman for making that transition to the high school level a lot easier for me, and made my job a lot easier. I wanted to say some things about Coach Coleman. I hope you guys realize what kind of asset he is to this program, to this community. He puts a lot of time in. He's very passionate about the game, and he's a great teacher of the game. So I hope you guys realize what he brings to this basketball program. Okay. I want to say thanks to the Emeralds and to the cheerleading squads because they put a lot of time and effort in it. Sometimes they get overlooked. Want to make sure they're recognized, and want to thank them for what they do for us. And also want to congratulate the girls basketball teams and the boys wrestling program for their successful seasons. Okay, I think we're all in this together. I want to make sure we recognize those guys as well. Make sure I tell the parents, but before we start when we started the season, you want to make sure you have good people in your program. You want to make sure you have good students in your program. Probably the last thing, the athletic side of things. And I want you guys to know that we're very, very proud of your student athletes, and you should be very proud that they represented, our team and our community, and you guys, your families, very, very well. They carried themselves very well, and they represented our team very well, and they're very good people. So we wanted to tell you guys thank you for that. You can tell they've been brought up the right way. I'll tell you about our season real quick, and I'll introduce the players. We ended up 11 wins and 10 losses. 4 of those losses were 5 points or less. So, the ball bounces a little bit differently. We have a couple extra wins in the win column. Also, you talk about our team, in general, we weren't a great offensive basketball team. Our defense is what kept us in basketball games, and that shows over the course of 21 basketball games, we only allowed an average of 39 points a game scored against us. So that kept us in a lot of basketball games, and that's a tribute to these kids. We always talked about effort and energy on the defensive end of the court, and these kids did that. And that's a tribute to their work ethic and the time they put in, and they listened to what we asked them to do. They tried to put that into game situations, and they worked very, very hard. So we appreciate that. I'll tell you about, I guess I'll start talking about the players, and I'll get out of the way and let Coach Coleman talk. I'll just introduce the players, tell you a little bit about them, and then come on up when I call your name. Antonio Davis. He was one of the team captains voted on by the players. He was our inspirational leader. He was a very good defensive player, probably our best defensive player. And he was like the heartbeat of our team. He kept that intensity level up for our team. The other team captain for our team is Brendan Dallas. He's a quiet leader. He's a good leader. He's our leading scorer. We don't do individual awards at the JV level, but if we had to give an award for MVP, it'd probably go to Brendan Dallas. Okay, he's a good, solid player. Logan Geck. He's a real key to our success this year. He's a great athlete. He led the team in charges, so he was a key to what we did this year. Brett Bader. It's one of these guys. There's a couple guys on the JV level that probably improved more than anybody else at this level, and Brett was one of those guys. He didn't complain. He's a good kid. He came in and did what we asked, and he probably improved from day one to the end of the year as much as anybody. The next guy is Vance Womack. He's probably the other guy that I'd say was the most improved from beginning to the end of the season. Vance works really, really hard. He's got a great work ethic, puts in extra time in the gym and his shooting. He does all the things he has to do to try to get better and take his game to the next level. Derek Meyer. There he is. All right. Derek, I played him out of position a lot this year. He's probably a more true 3 or 4 player. He played a lot at the point guard and didn't complain. He struggled at times. When he played really good basketball, we were a great team. Derek's a real versatile player. He could guard a guard on the other team. He could guard a post player, and I think he's going to help the varsity a lot next year. Is Tyler Lip here tonight? All right, Jeremy Garner. All right, we'll just move on then. We got some freshmen now. Drew Schmelsley. Drew played quite a bit at the JV level. He improved a lot with his ball handling and taking care of the basketball. He has a lot of potential. And he keeps working hard, he's got a lot of potential. Tate Meyer. He's a good, smart player. He's a good all-around player. Takes care of the basketball and helped us a lot at the JV level. Clayton Mueller here tonight. All right. Billings here. All right. I guess that's it. That's your 2011-2012 JV basketball team.
How long do I get? 45 minutes. All right. One thing about the JV, it's nice to see as a varsity coach, there's actually some height out here. I hope they just keep working and getting stronger, and that's something we've kind of lacked a lot at the varsity level, so I look forward to that in the years to come. Of course, I'd like to start with thank yous, just like everyone else, the boosters for everything they do, administration, Coach Nix, with all his help and support. He does a great job with the long season. Coach Vogt working out with the gym. We get along pretty well, fighting for that. I'd like to thank the media and all their coverage and all that they do for us. It really helps our players out, when it comes to all conference and things like that when they're being covered. I'd like to thank the dance team, band, and cheerleaders and their coaches performing at the games. It does make a big difference in the atmosphere, along with our Spirit Club. It's the best I've seen since I've been here. I know the players enjoy it, and it's nice to, I don't hear too much. I'm pretty focused in the game, but when I watch our tapes, I can see it and hear it, and that it really puts a chill down my body whenever I can see it on the tape and listen to it, and so we enjoy that. I know that the cheerleaders, especially during tournament time, they have a lot to do with both boys and girls. The parents, for their help and support, they do a great job, and we do a lot in the summer, travel to Branson and all kinds of places. They help out that during the season. I know Miss Weiler, washes towels and cleans the bottles for us. And the parents, we had meals this year, which was great. It was a great fellowship for our players before games a lot of times, or road games when we have to hurry up and get on the bus. They make sack lunches. And Jamie Drury really needs a round of applause. She took that over. I think they got something for her. She's really taken over and done that, the 50-50 stuff. And unfortunately for her, she's going to be doing it for a very long time because she's got a sixth grader coming, 7th grader, so she's stuck. I'd like to thank Mr. Case. He usually said the prayer for us at those meals. Our middle school coaches, Coach Weiler and Coach Bierman, for all the work they do in the middle school. Younger coaches, Coach Dunsey and Toombs. Our AU program is really starting to pick up. Something I think that St. John has lacked. A few of these coaches have coached some of these guys in the AU, and those players are starting to get into the high school, and you can really tell. So I like to thank them. Our coaches, Coach Robinson, Coach Kraft, Coach Geck, for all their hard work. It's a great group of guys. They do a lot of things that I'm not good at during the games, reminding me and stuff, keeping me maybe calm. When I get excited and pretty intense, Nick's already mentioned Coach Geck. He does it for free. And these guys, all of them do as many games as I do, even though they may be a freshman coach. And I have to mention Coach Geck is also engaged now, so I might not see him near as much.
I also like to thank McDaniel for keeping the book. He was an assistant coach last year, and now he's done some other things, but he's been showing up and keeping the book. I'm not sure if he's here. I told him the other day he made 16 mistakes in a game, and those were the 16 games we lost. He didn't have us winning at the end. But I appreciate him. He travels to all the away games also for not much money. And finally, my wife. She always tells me at the beginning of the season, I'll see you in March when the season is over. She does a lot. We have 4 boys that run around and take places. And so she does a lot of work without me. Even when I'm home, I sometimes feel bad because I'm not there mentally. I'm focused on the things going on. So I know she doesn't like that, but I think it comes with the job as a coach. You just can't let those things go all the time. Win or lose, I go home and I watch tape till midnight, 1 o'clock, and she goes to bed alone. So she might like that part, though, because I don't sleep very well. And finally, I'd like to thank the players. The parents, you have done a great job, like Coach Robinson talked about. You should be very proud of them. They're a fine group of men. I hope not only did they learn the game and become better basketball players, that they have become better men in general. The qualities such as hard work, dealing with adversity, and brotherhood are something that they will need the rest of their life. We preach a lot about teamwork, and this group really did do that. We had a mixture of sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Some guys haven't played together near as much, and towards the end of the year, you would have think they've been playing for a long time. And so they really did a good job with that. Our record was 10-16, which is a losing record. But coming from last year with only winning 3 games, it's a huge improvement. A lot of these guys were pretty much a part of that. We didn't have a big senior class last year, and to come back from that and to improve, says a lot. A lot of them could have, quit, went and focused on other sports, but they stuck with it. And it shows. We did a little bit of stats as a team, and we let up 5 more points than we scored, and there was 5 or 6 games where it was 5 points or less. That's 2 buckets, 2 turnovers, and we're sitting at a 16-10 record. And so we're right there. We're improving, and I hope we do keep doing that for next year. The conference tournament, we really turned it on. Their focus was just unbelievable. We talked about that a lot in practice, and you could tell we went and played some pretty good games. And then towards the end of the season, it even continued. With the 2 last home games was probably the 2 games that I've seen, since I've been here. It was just amazing to see them, how they played and how they handled the adversity. The last game, the senior night against Festus, who we talked about, is kind of like the Farmington of the Jefferson County area. They're full athletes year in, year after, and we haven't beat them since we've been here. And they were pretty good. They were beating teams like DeSoto and Perryville, who earlier in the year beat us by about 30. And we turned around and played a great game. And so, it's good to see how they improve over the year. We had 12 total players this year, and so I'll be calling those guys up. We'll start with and 2 managers. I'll start with the managers. Kayla Keene. She's very busy. I give her a hard time for not being there, but you see she was on dance team. She does a lot of clubs. We appreciate everything she does when she's able to make it, keeping stats. She don't like to do the taping of the game, but she does that. So we appreciate all her help. And Nick Sims, I don't think he's here, but Nick, started to try. Or we don't have cuts, but started the year wanting to play. Last year he hurt his knee, and he just realized that his knee still wasn't going to allow him to play and be successful. So he decided to just help be a manager, and he was still coming to practices and helping us doing that and the games. Him doing tape, I told him he had to kind of watch the way he talked on tape, because he was like me. He was really, I guess, a coach, when he's up there filming. And it was nice to kind of hear that, too, that he was into it and put a lot of work into it. So those are our two managers. We had three sophomores on the team. First, Logan Geck. Logan, played a little bit of time this year. He played enough to letter on the varsity. He was a big part of the JV team, as you know. I know he wished he could play some more, but when he did get in the game, he really showed us some good things. I remember one time over at MAC, we played a game, and he came in, and you would have never thought that he was a sophomore, and really hadn't played much at that time. And so I know next year, with a lot of hard work, he'll be a big role in next year's team. Brendan Dallas. Brendan is a sophomore. He was a big scorer on the JV team, and we started to use him a lot, especially when teams that played zone, because Brendan can shoot the ball really well. He hit some big threes for us in big time situations, and he did it coming off the bench, not playing for 2 or 3 quarters, and then coming out and hitting a three, and that's pretty tough to do. I hope Brendan will work on other parts of his game other than shooting, and if he does, he'll be a big asset. Brendan was actually chosen the PrepCast Player of the Game one time. Matt Jury was actually a starting sophomore on the varsity. He was our point guard. He did a great job being a sophomore and starting as a point guard. The point guard, a lot of responsibility. You handle tough situations, getting into the offense. And so Matt did a really good job of that. He was great at penetrating, getting teams in foul trouble, and attacking. He wasn't afraid to go into a 6'5", 6'8", 6'9" guy and try to score. With a lot of dedication, Matt could be one of the best players around in the conference and around in the area next year. And he was also chosen PrepCast Player one time. Next are juniors. Kyle Roth. Kyle might have the most natural ability and good build for a basketball player. He's left-handed, which is also a big plus. When Kyle works hard, he seems to be always in the right spot. His rebounds, he's very quick, always there. I think if he works as hard as he does on his half-court shots over the offseason, he'll be a huge help next year as a senior. Shane Russ. Shane's a junior. Probably worked harder than anyone in the last year in the weight room. If you see, he's not the biggest guy, but might be actually one of the strongest in the upper body area, as you can see. He likes to wear those tight shirts. Now, Shane really did work hard, and if he works on his ball handling skills, and I hope he gets a little sees of Fredericktown. If anybody's seen our Fredericktown game, especially one over the MAC, the kid was a junior, just the size of Shane, and nobody could stop him. I mean, his ball handling ability. So I hope he just realizes that you don't have to be big, all right, to be successful and to be a great player. Our next junior is Brandon Mueller. Brandon is what you call a true role player. He's probably the smartest player on the team and does exactly what you ask him to do. He's a guy that sometimes has to play 3 different spots on the floor, between playing a guard and a big guy sometimes. He came off the bench and played the best games of his career and scoring some big baskets for us. I think one time he got a steal and put us up by 2, maybe the St. Vincent game. And just amazingly would make some great plays, when you kind of least expected it, and did a good job. Hopefully, next year he'll be a big role too. Clayton Gilo. Clayton is a junior. He kind of started some games, and Clayton was one of our big guys. He might be the quietest and nicest post player ever known. He had a knack for rebounding and would surprise you with some good news and shots that you might not think he actually had. He shows flashes of excellence. If Clayton will get more aggressive and stronger, he will be a force to be reckoned with next year. He was also chosen PrepCast Player of the Game one time. Jacob Rowe was another junior. Jacob's a guy who did not get his name in the paper a lot, or a big stat guy, but the coach has always talked about he was kind of like the glue that keeps us together. He does a little bit of everything. We get a few points, assists, steals, rebounds. By far our best vocal leader on the floor, and was a spark coming off the bench a lot of times. He has the motor that never quits. You never guess if he's going to give you 100%. He's a guy that can just play and seems to be able to read and know what the other team is doing. He made some big plays for us the Festus game, knocking down 2 free throws. I'm not sure he shot very much. I think that was his only points, but really he's not one of our best free throw shooters percentage-wise, but being fouled at the end of the game, pressure on, and he hit both those and kept us in the lead. So, Jacob's going to be a big role next year, being one of our better defenders. Hopefully he'll be a better offensive scorer too. Next is Kevin Johnson. Kevin was our defensive guy. He became an outside shooter threat on offense late in the year. He was usually responsible for covering the other team's point guard and wearing him down. Kevin might be the most potential than anyone to be a dominant offensive player next year if he would just see his potential. I see Kevin continuing to be a great defender and really becoming a scoring threat next year with some hard work. He was PrepCast player of the game twice. And now our seniors. The first one is Jonathan Brewer. Johnny was a captain this year. He started off a little slow, being in a lot of foul trouble. But as the season went on, Johnny became a big threat. Usually Johnny just needed a little push to get him going. I think the Saxony Lutheran game, after a good talk at halftime, he didn't score at all in the first half, came out, I think, just in the third quarter and scored 16 points. I knew he had some good offensive qualities. He spent a lot of time shooting, but he surprised me with his defensive effort. Always having to guard guys that were sometimes 6'8", 6'7", 6'9", and being about 6'2" is tough. He also was our leader in charges. Most big guys don't like to take charges. He probably deserved more than he got too. He led us in blocks. Also, he showed that inside, that he was just a threat and would work. He was the PrepCast player of the game twice and made our conference all-star team. Wayne Caron. Wayne is a senior. I wish I had 10 guys with Wayne's heart and attitude. Wayne was a quiet guy except on the floor. He wouldn't say much. Probably the prayer was the longest thing he's ever said out loud. But when he got on the floor, it just seemed like he came alive and would just talk and work really more than anybody. He would get in there and want to mix things up, constantly making comments to you on the bench. Coach, let me at that guy. I want to take him. And so, it's just a joy to have him around. He kind of hurt his knee, I think, in football. It started to get better, played a little bit, and then he hurt it again at the end of the year. And so we're going to miss Wayne a bunch. And our last one, senior, Brennan Weiler. Brennan was our other captain. He's pretty much known as a scorer. He's put a lot of time in basketball over the years, and it's paid off. Brennan really became a double threat this year by being able to attack the basket and shoot from the outside. Brennan also became a very good defensive rebounder. He started off kind of slow, coming out of football with maybe a little foot injury, kept him out of practice for a while, and he was sick there and really didn't play in a few games before Christmas. But at the end of the season, he was, in my opinion, probably the best scorer in the area, hitting over 30 in 2 games, scoring 30 points in 2 games, scoring over 20 points in 7 other games, and at the end of the year averaging over 17 points. In his last 2 home games, he hit 7 threes in each game. That's 14, and then 20 threes altogether in the last 3 games. He hit 6 more down in the district game. That's pretty impressive to be able to shoot like that. And the Festus game was like none other I've ever seen. I talked to him. It was almost like the movies. You see the pitcher on the mound, and everything goes quiet around, and the only thing you may see is the glove. Watching the film, there was two arms, 2 guys in his face. There's no way he could have seen the rim, and it never even fazed him. And he hit some big ones when we needed him to. And, you could tell Brennan, his hard work has really allowed him to be that scorer. He was PrepCast player 3 games. 3 times. He made the all-conference all-star team. He was first team all-conference. He's all-district. Made the all-district team, which is a tough district to be in. Sykeston, Notre Dame, Dexter, Perryville was great this year. So to make an all-district team in that district says a lot. And he was also a dream team player that just came out. He'll probably be an all-region team that is not out yet. The all-state, could be there too. And so, Brennan Weiler. These guys put a lot of hard work into it. probably the hardest working group I've had. You know, we weren't very big, but at times we played big. And you know, these seniors were great leaders. I hope that these younger classmen will really see the success that we've had, and I hope it's in them that they wanted to improve on that next year. I know the coaching staff has already said we plan on, you know, having a winning record and doing much better. And so I appreciate you guys and all your hard work. You may be seated, except awards. Thought you were done, didn't you? We have some awards to give out. Our leading rebounder with 177 rebounds was Clayton Gilo. Free throw percentage award. Free throws you think would be easy, hence the name, but for some reason it's kind of went to the wayside, and all basketball teams, all coaches talk about it. But our best free throw shooter was Brendan Weiler with 75%. We have an assist leader, sophomore Matt Drury with 117. Tenacity award. This is just a guy we think that just played tough. And this isn't easy because defense is probably what we were best at, and we had a lot of tough guys. But this guy led us in 10 charges, led us in blocks, and second in rebounds, and that's Jonathan Brewer. Our defense award, guy who led us in steals, 56 steals, can probably do even more or better than he did if he would just do it for 4 quarters. I mean, you know, there's times where I think he could stop anybody, and that's Kevin Johnson.